There are tons of stories out there about hacked Pokémon games, some of them really quite neat, such as the one about the version where you get a ghost as a starter. Some are ridiculous, silly stories about individuals dying after playing a game, or the game talking to them. God, don't these writers know less is more when it comes to these stories? I digress. I grew interested in these hacked games that are apparently in thrift stores on eBay or handed out by homeless people to random passers-by. I didn't have the pleasure of meeting these creepy people. I merely found this particular cartridge in a trash bin, and the garbage truck backed into my neighborhood dumpster. I noticed the game and asked the trash man if I could take it. He didn't seem to mind. It was thrown away after all. I, of course, checked with my neighbor to confirm that they actually didn't want it, though they seemed perplexed as if they'd never seen it before in their life. Their son made a grab for it, a little boy who saw the Charizard on the cover, crying out, "Pokémon, I want Mommy!" But his mother told him no, seeing as I found it. And he didn't have a Game Boy anyway, he just liked Pokémon. Thinking nothing more, I simply went home, looking at the cartridge's sticker on the way. Just a plain old red version. The sticker torn slightly across the Charizard's neck, but that was expected with such an old game. I had blue version as a kid, so I was a bit eager to see the, albeit minimal, differences red and blue had. I was rather disappointed by what I saw when the title screen showed up. Pokémon Strangled Red version. Well, damn it. It was hacked. Hacks were neat and all, but they had zero monetary value. The original's quite valuable by now, and I wanted to play Red anyway, not this crap. Oh well. It was free. Might as well try it. The name was odd, however. Strangled Red? That made no sense. Not even in the morbid description of somebody being asphyxiated as people turn blue while choking, not red. Who knows? Maybe there was a pair of those hacks and I just got the red one. The more I thought about this, though, the more interested I became. My initial disappointment turned into curiosity. I wanted to know what the creator had made. I was going to note everything I saw. The first oddity I noticed was the start screen had a Charizard next to the trainer instead of a Charmander. Also, the Pokémon never cycled through like the original version did, it just stayed Charizard, even after 5 minutes of waiting. Shrugging, I hit start, noticing that there was no Charizard cry as I did, like there was supposed to be. I saw there was a continue option, so I figured I'd do what everyone did with used games and see what the previous owner had done. No. I blinked in surprise. No? What do you mean, no? The game wouldn't let me continue, no matter what. Though, on the fourth attempt, I heard the Charizard cry, quiet and barely audible. But there. Shrugging it off, I decided to just hit new game, like I would have done after checking the old file anyway. The screen cut to black for a while. No Professor Oak, no starting theme, just nothing at all. Eventually the screen came back, showing a bedroom, 2 beds, 2 TVs, and a computer in the room. My trainer sprite was the usual one, consistent with the old red version. I was curious as to why it didn't ask my name, though it was answered as I opened the pause menu, noticing my trainer was named Steven. No, this isn't my real name. Or some stupid crap like that. This game isn't self-aware or haunted, at least not that I know of. It's just a name chosen already. Curious, I saw that he had the starter amount of money. No badges. He didn't look like Red, though. His hair was longer, almost reaching halfway down his back. Red's usual smile, replaced with a confident smirk. Honestly, I found this sprite much cooler than Red. Next I checked out his Pokémon. A single Charmander, level 5, named Mickey. Nothing was odd about it, or should I say, her, with the name and all. She had beginning Charmander stats, only new Scratch and Tail Whip, basic stuff. The game seemed relatively normal. Returning to the game, I walked around the room, noticing Steven's long hair was present on the back of my trainer sprite when my back was turned to the camera. I didn't recognize the house, but I descended the stairs to see more. Downstairs was another trainer, who spoke to me the instant I came down. Mike. Ready yet? Steven. Yeah. I assumed Mike was my rival, pre-decided for me, a replacement of Blue, most likely, though I thought back to the bedroom having 2 beds, realizing they weren't just rivals, they were brothers. They talked back and forth, basic Pokemon dialogue, becoming a Pokemaster, catching them all, stuff like that, before having a little argument over which is better, Charmander or Squirtle. Which of course led to the introduction battle, like the one versus Blue in the lab. Simple enough. Scratch, tackle, till I won, purely for having the first turn. I took note of how much better Steven's sprite looks in combat than Red's. A different pose, his hair looking like it was blowing in the wind. A brief minor upgrade, but still much nicer. I left the house after some more banter with my brother, stepping out to the Pallet Town theme. Going to the east, I found this was indeed Pallet Town. The house was simply on the outskirts of the west. I noted there was no mysterious grassy field like in the normal Pallet Town. Wandering about, I decided to check in on Red's home. His mother was inside, and when I talked to her, she commented on how handsome Steven looked, hoping her son would look up to him as a role model for when he became a trainer himself next year, which of course led me to realize this game took place a year before the original Pokémon. Red was even upstairs playing the SNES in his room, commenting, "I'm gonna be the best too when it's my turn." I was starting to like this hack. It was interesting. A completely new adventure, a different character. Hell, Steven even seemed to have like a history with the people in his town, a reputation, a personality, beyond a silent protagonist. The people in town talked to him as a person, making conversation, not just spouting tutorial crap. Even Blue's sister had a new dialogue. They seemed to be in a relationship too, as the dialogue ended with a kiss and a heart over her head. Professor Oaks simply wished me well, giving me a Pokedex to aid me in my adventure. He wasn't giving it to me to be reason behind the adventure like every other Pokemon game out there. He gave it to me out of kindness, something to help me on my way, a gift. I was liking this more and more with each second. The game seemed to have an actual story now. I was somebody, not just a cookie-cutter protagonist anyone could be, not just some blank sheet that could be replaced without notice. The story was different, though the actual gameplay remained unchanged. I went north, like I was supposed to. I went from town to town, collected badges, received the praise of the leaders. Steven's fame even seemed to spread, as some NPCs would talk like they knew him. I used Mickey for every battle. And she was growing surprisingly fast. She handled Brock with ease, even pounded Misty with no trouble at all. She wasn't as adversely affected by super effective attacks as others, did more damage than regular Charmanders. She was a veritable powerhouse. Even became a Charizard at the mere level of 25. Not bad at all, I must say. Things started to get weird, though, as soon as I reached Lavender Town. I know, Lavender Town is the focus behind every creepypasta story, and the like, but it was the only place that was noticeably different. There was no Team Rocket invasion, which I found odd, though I did remember that this was a year in the past, so the invasion wouldn't occur until Red's time. I tried to enter Pokemon Tower, aiming to get a Ghastly, but that's when it got odd. Steven, I have no reason to be here. Steven wouldn't go into Pokemon Tower, no matter what I did. This was weird. I mean, hell, there are a million places in Kanto that you really have no need to be, like random houses with nothing but children NPCs, for example. Why was it here that Steven wouldn't enter? With a shrug, I figured that I wouldn't need a Ghastly, seeing as Mickey could handle anything, so I simply went on my way. Lavender Town served no purpose other than a passageway, with a Pokémon Center. The game progressed normally from there. The remaining gyms fell, and eventually I made my way to the Elite Four and defeated them. As with Blue, my brother, Mike, was there before me, initiating the championship battle, which Mickey swept with ease. The aftermath of the battle was quite pleasant. None of the tension that was present between Red and Blue, the end of their match. The brothers congratulated each other on their progress and shook hands before the screen went white. No Hall of Fame, nor any credits. When the screen came back, it was at the house again. The two brothers sitting at the computer, conversing with each other. Steven. I don't want to. Mike. Come on. I just gotta borrow her for a second, just to finish the Pokédex. The entry won't register unless she recognizes me as a master for just a second. Steven. But she's my Mickey. Mike. I promise I'll give her back. Come on. Please? Yes? No. I was a bit perplexed, so I hit no cautiously. Mike. Come on. Please? I realized that this would simply continue to loop until I hit yes. So I did, just to see what would happen. Mike. All right, this will just take a second. Then we'll both be Pokemon Masters. Steven. The screen changed to the animation shown when two people trade Pokemon, which I found a bit weird seeing as I was solo, but whatever. This was apparently supposed to happen. Mickey went first. I watched lazily as she began to travel down the trading tube.
That made me jump. The sudden noise resonated in my silent bedroom, loud due to the volume being way up. Looking at the screen, I noticed the game had seemed to freeze. Mickey's still in mid-trade, but the game wasn't doing anything. With a sigh, I just turned off the game, wondering when my last save was. When the game turned back on, I stared at a moment at the start screen. There was no Charizard next to the trainer. Upon pressing start, I saw the new game option was absent, leaving only continue. There was, strange to say the least, so I selected it. The game started without even showing my stats as usual, and my jaw dropped at what I was greeted with. 1 year later. The Lavender Town theme came first, playing its normal way. The screen slowly faded in from blackness. Steven was in the Pokemon Tower, which made the music even stranger, seeing as the tower had its own theme. He was standing in front of a tombstone, not doing anything. Wondering what was going on, I pressed A. Steven didn't wind up saying anything. Confused, I tried walking, realizing that I was indeed in control at the moment. I brought up the pause menu and checked my party. Mickey was gone. Not just Mickey, all of my Pokemon. He had nothing. The Pokédex was absent from the menu, his bag was empty. Honestly concerned now, I checked his trainer card. He had no money, he had no badges, his playtime was 8,795 hours, which was impossible as I only logged in, as I had only 30 logged in before. But that wasn't the strangest part. His picture. The picture of the handsome, confident young trainer was different. His eyes were blank, his face turned slightly down. That smirk of his was gone, replaced by a lack of expression at all. That long hair of his, before in a perfect perm, was now messy and unkempt. I couldn't look at him anymore. I closed the menu, and then I went over to move out of the tower. But with every step I took away from the tombstone, the screen flickered like it did when a Pokemon was poisoned. Gulping, I brought up the trainer card again. The picture was getting worse. Every step I took, he hung his head more and more. His shoulders slumped. He bent over. By the time I had exited the tower, he was on his knees, hands to his face, hair draped across him. I had guessed already what had gone on, but this clinched it. I began to put some things together in my mind. I'd always wondered why there was no champion in the original games besides your rival. Why is it that you, the protagonist, had to beat your rival when it just waltzed in, no previous champion to challenge? Then it struck me. The answer was right here. The previous champion had given up. His precious Mickey was apparently dead, and with her, so died a part of him. His Pokédex and all other Pokémon, his badges, his fame, all of it, he threw it all away. And that year that I had missed, the year where all those hours came from, I even did the math. There are 8,765 hours in a year. Add that to my 30 from before and it matched up. Even so, the game kept going. This couldn't have been the ending, I thought. I mean, what else was there to do? I had no Pokédex, no Pokémon, no anything. What was I supposed to even be doing? I talked with everyone in the town, but they all said similar things to me. Are you okay? Still mourning, I see. Everything will be alright. Please, is there anything that we can do for you? Stephen never replied to them, and they all simply said the same things over and over. I couldn't put the game down now. This is all so strange. Curious, I headed off into the tall grass and eventually got into a battle with a Rattata. No Pokemon was sent out, just Stephen's sprite. I was wondering how in the world I'd battle. Wild Rattata let you be. The battle ended without anything happening. This was certainly interesting, and it happened with every Pokemon I encountered. Wild Pidgeotty ignored you. Wild Ponytail, it wandered off. The music never changed either. No matter where I went, the Lavender Town came from the speakers, following me. Sometimes slowed down slightly, sometimes not. I searched everywhere, every town, talked with everybody, wondering just what the hell I needed to do. My frustration was mixing with the depressing atmosphere of all this, making the experience altogether unnerving and uncomfortable. But I couldn't tear myself away. I was just starting to get a bit angry, though. Nobody was telling me anything. They just gave me their condolences and trying to give me items like lemonade or coffee, and each met with, "Stephen, no." I slapped myself for idiocy, suddenly realizing how the likely answer was right in front of me. Pallet Town, of course. When I went there, though, which took a long time having to walk, with no Pokemon to fly with and no bicycle to ride, and Stephen only seemed to move about half the regular movement speed, it wasn't much different. I first tried talking to Professor Oak first. "These things happen. You were just unlucky." Then I tried talking to Blue's sister. Please don't leave home again." Red's mom wouldn't even talk to me at all. With nowhere else in mind to go, I walked to the west, finding the house from the beginning, which I had never entered since leaving Pallet Town. Inside was Mike, but talking to him was honestly just as useless as anything else. "Mike, I'm so sorry." I pondered for a moment if this was really the ending. Stephen doomed to do nothing but roam Kanto in misery, haunted by the memories, forced to listen to everyone's concerns about him. As a last-ditch effort to do anything, I went to the bedroom and walked over to the bed. "Stephen, I'm going to sleep now." The screen faded to black for a moment, but then slowly faded back in, the world having a black tint to it. The Mike sprite lying in the other bed. I assumed that it must have been night at this point in time. "Stephen, I'm going to do it. Stephen, it can bring her back. It can do anything." What the hell was it? Something that could do anything? I couldn't for the life of me figure it out. Wandering about, I tried to leave Pallet Town the usual way. "Stephen, not that way." It didn't work. I tried the houses. "Stephen, screw them." I quirked my eyebrow at that, forgetting for a moment this was not a real Pokemon game. The vulgarity just took me off guard. I continued to look around, but there was nowhere I could go, until I accidentally stepped on the ocean, and Stephen walked right in, only the upper half of his sprite visible, like the swimmers you encounter in the Cerulean Gym. I didn't know he could swim. Steven. The missing one. Missing one? I paused for a moment. No. He couldn't possibly mean that. I hadn't tried the missing no trick on this hack yet, but it just fit too well. That had to be what he meant. I surfed all the way towards Cinnabar. I began to feel something was off. More so than this already was. Silence. The Lavender Town music had stopped. There was no noise at all, nor were there any Pokémon. I just kept going, finding Cinnabar and surfing up and down the east coast, and lo and behold,
Wild Missingno appeared.
Mine.
Wild Missingno was caught.
Wild Missingno was caught. What the hell? Steven didn't even do anything. He just commanded that atrocity of broken data to join him. No. Become his possession. And it did. I was getting more and more disturbed by this all. Checking the start menu, I saw Missingno was not in my party, but instead an item, making things even stranger. I checked the trainer card as well. Steven had his back to me, his long hair draped behind him, his hands in his pockets. Nothing else. Remembering what he said in the start of the night, I realized what I had to do. I surfed to land and made my way northeast to, where else, Lavender Town. Along the way, I noticed that all the trainers, oddly still out at this hour, wouldn't even look at Steven, all of them turning when he passed, even those that were normally static. I tried talking to one of the officers in the guardhouse-type buildings. Just go. They all said the same thing. The one sent chills down my spine. Sometimes dead is best. My hands were sweating by this point. Steven was about to try the impossible, something some would even see as a crime against nature, which many of these people seemed to share that opinion. I steeled myself. It was just a game, and I was going to complete it. It looked like an eternity to reach Pokémon Tower, but I got there eventually. Taking a deep breath and heading towards the tombstone, I remembered which one. The image of Steven standing before it was burnt into my mind, after all. First, I tried inspecting it. Steven. Mickey. Nothing happened. With a gulp, I opened the menu and selected the Missingno from the bag. Oak. Steven, don't use it! I was reminded when Professor Oak would magically tell you that you couldn't use a key item somewhere, like when using a bicycle in a building. Though the message this time was different. And even worse, Steven responded to it. Steven. In a world that cheated me? Why should I play fair? Steven used it.
Obtained? Oh, I'm missing. What in God's name did I obtain? I couldn't tell you, because the game took away my control. Without my input, Steven began to leave the tower on his own, without walking single step by single step. The Lavender Town theme started again as he left the tower and began his excruciatingly slow journey against my will. Each time he crossed one of the borders where the music would change, it got progressively slower, more and more disturbing by the time he had reached Cerulean City. It was a demonic rumbling. I just stared, watching him, trying to guess what he was going to do. But it was getting more and more obvious. He was headed towards Pallet Town. The music had all but stopped when I had got there, playing single note by single note. He went exactly where I had guessed, right into his own house, inside and up the stairs. At this point, there was no music. Steven moved step by step, stopping at his brother's bed, turning to face him. At first I thought the game froze, but he didn't do anything. He just simply stood there and I couldn't move him. I did, however, find out I could open the pause menu. I was terrified to look, but I couldn't stop myself. I selected the trainer card. There was a low growling noise, like a distant Pokemon cry. Steven was looking at me again, directly at the screen. He was hunched over, his bangs obscuring his face. His hair was wild and feathered out. Between his bangs, there wasn't even a face at all. Just black, and two red eyes staring straight forward. A white grin contrasted with the darkness. That wasn't all. His name was Now. I couldn't look away. My eyes were glued to his, not breaking contact for some reason. My vision was getting blurry until I couldn't see very well. My face grew wet. I was crying, like a baby. There was nothing I could do to hold back the tears. I was with this boy from the start. I built him up to greatness and was then forced to watch his decline after a tragic accident. And now he was this thing, this abomination. I watched him go insane. Holding my tears and wiping my eyes, I closed out of the trainer card and tried to save the game, wanting to just quit. The game informed me that this was impossible. Nothing can be saved now. The pause menu wouldn't close no matter what I did, so with no other option I checked the bag. Nothing happened. I checked Pokémon, and there was one. A single sprite met me. It had 0 HP. Its status, dead. Its name, him. I selected it and it was greeted with 4 options. Status, it's her. Switch. Never. Close. No. Strangle. My fingers shaking. I selected Strangle. And the menu closed, showing Steven in the room once more. The game shut itself off. I was more dumbfounded than frightened. In a bit of shock, I turned it back on. The title screen showing the maniacal Steven and a horribly glitched Charizard. I pressed start and then continued. All I saw was a zoomed-out view of Pallet Town, showing Steven's home in the west. Tall grass is surrounding it, those immovable stones blocking it from the rest of the town. The image was completely static. No music, no movement, before fading to white, before going back to the title screen. It was as it was when I first popped it in, a trainer and a Charizard. I attempted to hit continue.